was born in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I was born to deaf mutes, people who couldn't talk or speak. They did sign language, deaf mute. I grew up mostly in housing, I guess. Cataraqui was the first place, and then we moved to Layton. And then we ended up moving into a house. But I have always been, because my dad was never good with money and everything. So I left school at 14, so I'm not well educated, but I know life. And I went to work.
Streetwise.
Yeah. Well, not so much streetwise, more like just I helped my dad with the finances. I learned very young and early, right? But I also saw how people treated my parents, okay, because they had a disability. And there were a lot of nice people and good people, but there were also some pretty bad people, right, and pretty nasty people who thought that, and they were like in positions that they shouldn't have like treated them like that, okay? Now our disability and everything has grown, it's gotten better, okay? They don't treat them like they did, because they used to call them deaf and dumb and stuff like that, and that used to really bother me, right? Being a kid from them, right? And I could speak and hear, and they couldn't, right?
They suffered a lot, of course.
Oh, they did. They suffered a lot. And a lot of stigmatism towards them, and ignorance, and everything, right? And not treating them like they were actual human beings. And that bothered me. Back in those days, right, that's how it was, okay? But then you had people like me, a young person, who would stand up against that and wouldn't let people in authority treat them like that, because that was wrong.
Of course.
Right? So that's how things started getting changed. Then we had people, protesting and all that stuff and doing that, right? And so that's where I learned how to start to stand up for myself.
Protesting where? And with what organizations?
Oh, all kinds of organizations. Like
What,
I would watch it on
70s or-
TV. Yeah, in the 70s, right? I would watch it on TV and that, and I would learn. See, remember, my parents didn't know anything like that, right? So they couldn't teach me anything like that. I had to learn all of that stuff from watching TV. Thank God for TV, right? Or the radio. And when you're young and, you're not used to stuff like that, that's the only way I had to learn, right? And we didn't really interact with a lot of people except for in our area, right? The best time was when we moved from Cataraqui to Layton in a kind of like we called it our parking lot, right? And it was like a little cove sort of thing with a big parking lot in the middle and then houses all around it, townhouses. And that became our community, right? And that's when I learned how people can actually interact with people and getting more people involved to interact with each other and respect each other.
It was good then?
Right? Yeah, it was good. It was good. That was the best time,
And
right?
then-
Because whenever anybody was having a party, they would invite my parents, right? And my parents didn't drink or anything, but my parents went to these parties, and they were involving my parents. That's when it was the best time, right? That's when I started seeing that there are a lot of good people who don't treat disability in a bad way. They actually embrace it, right? Which is good, right? And then we seen things going, it just got better. It just got better. It just got better.
Okay,
Right.
and tell me, you were working as, on what job, what was your job when you started working?
Oh, I worked at McDonald's was my first job,
Ah,
right? I did that for, I think, a year and a half, 2 years. And then from there, I went and did warehouse jobs, right? And after that, it was just manual jobs. It wasn't anything educational.
no, well,
right?
you did all kinds of
But
jobs.
I worked right from the day of 14 until I moved in here 7, 8 years ago. Then I got diagnosed with MS, right? And it's a very rare form of MS. And
What is it? What do you have?
it's MS, multiple sclerosis, but it's a rare form. And there's a big long name. I couldn't even begin to even tell you what it is.
Could you just describe what
Right.
are your problems? More or less, you know?
like just, well, it's basically the typical kind of MS. The only thing is that my type of MS, I'm not supposed to be alive right now. I'm supposed to be dead, okay, because the part that's in your brain that lays dormant, some of those parts have kicked in to cover the parts that are badly damaged and not working in my brain. They don't understand why. They haven't figured out why. I've had tons and tons of MRIs, right? And now I do the dye MRI, which, there are side effects to the dye and all that stuff. But that's okay. God doesn't give me what I can't handle. I truly believe that, right? And then my ex ran away once he found out that I had MS, and he didn't want, after 28 years, he ran like a sucky baby, right? So, that was devastating to me at the beginning. Then he took the apartment away from me. I didn't have no home. I had nothing, okay? He took my dogs. I didn't have anything. So I ended up going to Neighborhood Links, and I had for a very long time put in an application for housing, and that's how they went back and reactivated that application and ended up getting me into the apartment here. That's how I ended up moving into here. And I had no dog. My daughter brought me a little kitten that I didn't know. I'm allergic to cats. But anyways, I ended up training the cat like a dog. I would take it out, walk it on a leash and everything, right? And then like I said, I got jumped by a couple of people in here, kicked and spit at and all that. So that's when I started working with housing to get security. And I did all the paperwork and that stuff, and then that's when I ran into that lady who said, oh, well, I'm sick and tired of it. Well, then what's the point of me doing tenant reports?
Yeah.
If you're sick and tired of it. And so that means you don't want to be bothered doing anything. No wonder the tenants don't want to do nothing, right? So then that's how I became, very
community
vocal.
leader, basically.
Yeah, basically, that's how
Yeah.
I find it as vocal. I'm very vocal, right? I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I stand my ground, right?
Okay, perfect. And one more little question. As a PPSN candidate, what would you like to propose to society?
More interaction with the police, more interaction with medical help, right? Like for mental health issues, right?
Don't smoke out there.
With mental health issues and stuff. I think that's a big main issue, is mental health issues, because we don't have enough medical help for that. And I think we really need to step that up, right? That is something that we need to step up.
In what way? Would you like people here in the building or?
We need maybe a psychiatrist.
Right in the
right?
building on
Yeah,
premises.
right in the building, on the premises. We do have Warden Woods, who has a doctor now, right? Which is something new, right? Which I hope that is starting to work.
But
And-
you want them here?
But yeah, giving us the opportunity to bring people that have more knowledge about mental health issues, right? Because I don't know a lot about mental health issues. We need also to, maybe tell everyone how to deal with certain kind of mental issues, right? Because we don't know how to deal with them, right? And that would be more of what I would be actually advocating for, right? That's something I think that hasn't been looked into enough.
Would you like also other buildings to, to adopt your model?
Yeah, sure I would. I would like them to adopt my model of getting more help, medical help, and more knowledge on how to deal with the mental health issues. I think this is a stepping ground of that, okay? I think this is like a learning curve for them, for housing. I think it's a learning curve for them, and to see how everything has gotten better, right? And
Because it's not like this everywhere.
no, but it could be a jumping ground for them, for their other communities, and I think that would be a good thing.
So so you believe, in other words, if I understand you correctly, you believe that this should be a model this building should be a model for.
Yeah, because this was classed as one of the worst buildings, okay? One of the worst buildings. Same with, all the broader community couldn't stand this building, right? I have been working with them as well as, letting them know that, there's a lot of really good people in here, right? And yes, we have our issues and stuff, But you know what? If we work together as a community, it will get better. And it has gotten better. The fire alarm doesn't go off half as much. The broader community isn't so, negative towards us as much. Okay? There's still there's still some things, but everything works in baby steps, the way I look at it. But it has gotten better. I would have to say it has gotten 100 times better
So we hope to see that elsewhere.
elsewhere. And it can be done. It can be done. We just need to try and find the people in all areas to try to work together, right? And have a common goal is what we need, is a common goal, right? And it works. It really does. This should be one of the buildings that, even housing has complimented on how well this building is getting, right? So, they should see that, they can see that. And that's the main goal.
Has anyone made a movie about you, or has TV come and talk to you?
No, they just come with the bad stuff.
Right, when somebody
Yeah.
gets killed, they come. When things get better, it doesn't.
Our staff, no,
happen.
nobody comes when it gets better and that, no.
Yeah, it's like,
No. Yeah,
well,
not
so
good.
that's your job maybe to talk to different journalists, and let's start with this interview. And
That's what we can do.
Yeah, that's
We
what
can work, slowly, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Baby
That's the
steps,
first
I love
one.
my baby steps.
And I hope that others will come and interview you too, because it's very interesting what you
Okay, yeah,
have
well,
to say.
it's good.
Compliments to you, and thank you
you.
very much.
No
Thank you.
problem, honey.